Okay, so I promised on this second video I would do all the problems in the calculator. I'm going to do most of them, probably not all of them, but certainly most of them for those of you who are still struggling with using the calculator. And then you can refer back to this video if there are some commands that you can't remember how to do in the calculator. So it's an all-purpose video that you can use here. If you already know how to use the calculator and can type everything in, there's no reason to watch it. All right? But for those of you who are having trouble, I'm going to do these problems from today in the calculator. I won't be doing this in the future, but I will do one video with it so that you have an idea. Okay, so if you look at 2a, we did it already by hand. You should have it in your notes. We wanted to find r of 6. So to do that, you just make sure your calculator is in radian mode. Hit mode. Make sure you're in radians. You have to be in radians to do this. And we're going to type 5. Radical 6 cosine 6 over 5, push enter, and it gives you 4.438, which was our answer to part A. Okay, all right, so now part B, we derived R, right, to figure out if the rate was increasing or decreasing. To derive something in the calculator, push the math key, go down to number 8, and derive. We're going to derive with respect to x. I know there's t's in it, but we use only x's here in the calculator. It doesn't matter what variable you use, as long as you're consistent. Okay, so we got 5 radical x cosine x over 5. Close parentheses. We're going to derive at x equals 6. Push enter, and you get negative 1.913. That was the answer we had for part B. Okay, to tell us that the rate was decreasing, right? Because the derivative of the rate is negative. All right, so let's clear that out of there. Part C, we wanted to know how many mosquitoes were on the island. So we're given the rate, we integrate, we can get the total as long as we add on the 1,000 that we started with. So we're going to add 1,000 plus, push the math key, go down to FN int, number 9. Okay, we're going to integrate from 0 to 31. And we are going to integrate 5 radical x cosine x over 5, close parentheses, dx, push enter. And sometimes it takes a moment for the answer to load, for the calculator to go through the calculation. But momentarily we should get it. And there it is, 964.335, which we rounded to the whole number because they asked us to, and we got 964. Okay. When you type this into the calculator, I suggest you always put the 1,000 or the number, the extra number before the integral, just so that you don't confuse the 1,000 with whether or not it belongs in the integral or not. All right. And then in part D, we were looking for the maximum number of mosquitoes, so we needed to know where R of t was equal to 0. All right, that was the first thing we wrote down, where R of t is equal to 0. So we can do that in the calculator. We have to use the graph, though. So we got to hit y equals. Okay, we're going to graph 5 radical x cosine x over 5. We're going to set the window from 0 to 31, because that's what they told us, right? We're looking at this problem from 0 to 31. And I made the x scale by 3s. The x scale is just how many little marks you're going to get between 0 and 31, or how often they're going to appear, every 3 units in this case. I usually just take the min, the max, whatever it is, divide by 10, and just kind of round it one way or the other. Okay, nothing fancy. All right. So now, from here, you don't know what the y value should be. You just have the x values. So to get the good y values, push zoom, go down to zoom fit, push enter. And what the calculator will do is it'll take your function and your x values and then pick the y values to give you the best picture. So we're looking for where this graph is equal to 0. So we can see it's equal to 0 at 2 places. We have to find those 2 places in the calculator. To do that, push the blue second key and hit trace, which is the calculate menu, calculate from a graph. Okay. Notice 6 and 7 ask you, or say we can find derivative and integral. Do not use these keys. Okay, they're not guaranteed to round your answers to 3 decimal places. If you want to get a guaranteed answer 3 places after the decimal, you have to use from the math menu the end-derive and fn-int keys. You cannot use these two, okay? But for right now, we want to find where it's 0, so we want to find the 0. Okay, left bound means move the cursor to the left side of where the 0 is that you want to locate. So that's on the left of it. I'll push enter. Then go to the right, push enter. Okay, these two little arrows, or you may have lines on your screen, are basically asking you, is this the 0 that you want me to find? It's between here and here. Okay, sure, yeah, that's what we want to find. It also offers a guess. The guess is just the average of this answer and this answer, where you push enter here, where you push enter there. It's irrelevant. Push enter again to get the number. And it gives you 7.8539816. You do have to use the entire number, so you have to write the whole number down. Okay, to find the other 0, do the same thing. Push the second key and then calculate. We're going to calculate another 0, left bound. Go over to the left here. Okay. So let's go over here. All right. Over here to the right. Okay, the 0 on the right. The left of it is over here. And over to the right of it, over here, let's say. The 0 is between these two values. Push enter. And you get our other candidate, which is 23.561945. Okay, those were our two candidates. And then what we did was we used the function int key. Okay, you go back and you integrated with respect to both of these. You would have to use the entire decimal when you go back to the function int key. I will also say that there was a case where on the quiz, people were writing numbers down like 2.47 or 27 times e to the negative 12. That means times 10 to the negative 12. This is 0. Okay, the calculator just doesn't approximate, because it's approximating this value, it doesn't see this value as 0. This y value is 0. Okay, so if you get an answer like this, it's 0. All right, you don't have to write that entire number down. This number is 0. Okay, all right, so that's how you would do part A, or number 2, the first number 2 in the calculator, or at least a lot of the keystrokes that you would need. Let's go to the second problem. The only one I'm going to do here is letter D. So for letter D, it says for t on 0 to 6 closed, at what time is the amount of sand on the beach of minimum? So the first thing that we did, if you look at your notes, is we figured out where r of t minus s of t, let me come over here, where we have r of t minus, there's not enough room. Okay, so r of t minus s of t is equal to 0. So we figured out you could do r of t minus s of t equals 0, or you could set them equal to one another. So that's what I do. I set them equal to one another. So I'm going to graph both of these individually. So I need to graph 2 plus 5 sine of, I'm going to set another set of parentheses, 4 pi x, close those parentheses, over 25. Enter on that one. And then I also have to graph 15x over, I'm going to put this in parentheses on the bottom, 1 plus 3x. If you don't put it in parentheses, you're going to run into trouble. Okay, I'll put both sets in parentheses. I don't really need both of them, but I definitely need one of them. I definitely need the bottom in parentheses, otherwise it doesn't work. So those are my two graphs, okay, and I'm going to want to see where they intersect. So to do that, let's go to the window first and change the window. We only want to do this from 0 to 6. Okay, I'm going to go by ones for the X scale. Doesn't matter. And I'm going to hit zoom. Go down to zoom fit. Give me some good Y values for the X values I gave it. Let's see what we get. Okay, here comes R of t. It graphs that one first. That's the first one we wrote in. And here comes S of t. And that's the only place that they meet, right? I'm looking for where they're equal to each other. Okay, that's here. To find that, push the blue second key and push the trace button to take you to the calculate menu. Go down to number 5, intersection. So the first curve, they're asking me to move the cursor toward where the intersection point is. Do that here. There we go. All right, doesn't have to be right on it, but close. Second curve, again, same thing, move it close. Okay, guess is just the average of the two. Push enter. And the intersection point for x is 5.1178653. That's the number we need because x right now is our x is their t. Okay, so that's the number we need. We need the whole number, the entire number, and you'll have to do the rest of letter D with that entire number. Okay, that's how you find the intersection point in the calculator. All right, that's how you use the calculator to do some of the commands. Okay, there is one more command I think that you are going to be able to or are going to need to use. So I'm actually going to show it to you now. It's to calculate total distance. To calculate the total distance of something, you need the absolute value key. Okay, so to find the absolute value key, you're going to integrate the absolute value of v. So to do that, you would hit the math key to go to end or function int. All right, number 9, function int. Okay, so we'd integrate from 0 to like 4. Now you'd need the absolute value of velocity. To get the absolute value, the easiest way to do it actually is to go to the catalog, which is second 0, because absolute value is actually the first entry. There it is, ABS. So you'd hit ABS X, and there we go. It brings up an absolute value, a set of absolute value bars. You could type in whatever thing you want to integrate, you know, x squared plus 1, whatever it is. That would be your velocity, dx, and push enter, and it'll give you your answer. Okay, but that's how you find the absolute value bars. The easiest way to do it is push the second 0 key, which brings you to the catalog. It's the first entry. All right, we'll be using that as well this week. So just in case, I'll refer to that on the video when I teach it to you, that you can find some information here about it. Okay, I hope this was helpful if you still do not know how to use the calculator, and I hope this will help you to learn to do that. You can refer back to it whenever you need to. It'll be up on Google Classroom. As always, thanks for clicking. Narculus, like and subscribe.